everyone, so this is going to be the intro to my how to walk in Jeffrey Campbell / high heels video. I had a request for a video on how to walk in the Jeffrey Campbell Lita shoes, so I'm going to be showing you that at the end of this video. But I decided to do the intro to the beginning of the how to walk in heels / Litas video as a care and keeping sort of tips on how to prolong the life of your Jeffrey Campbell Litas or any other leather boots or high heeled shoes that you might have. So here are a couple of my quick tips for how to prolong the life of your shoes. So I have my Jeffrey Campbell Litas right here. These are just the black leather Lita, just the original, I guess. And I do store these in the dust bag that they came with originally, and I also actually stuff the shoe with the paper that it was stuffed with, as crazy as that might be, just because it helps maintain the shape of the shoe. So if you're having trouble with maintaining the shape of the shoe because of how you store these shoes or what have you, I would suggest stuffing them with either the paper that they came with or just any like newspaper or something like that will do. But I do recommend storing them in the dust bags just to prevent any scratches and things like that. Whether you do decide to store them in the box or outside of the box. I do store mine in the actual box, so basically I store them how they came originally, as crazy as that might be, but it's just how I choose to store the shoes. And then for these shoes, these are 100% real leather, so you definitely do have to take a little bit of extra precaution with real leather shoes as to, you know, as opposed to not real leather shoes, just because the material is a little bit more sensitive than plastic and other sort of acrylic materials might be, in like canvas and things. But here is one of the things that I use to clean my shoes with my leather shoes. I recently picked this up, and I know they have it at Walgreens. This is the Outdoor, it's actually Kiwi brand, Outdoor Saddle Soap, and it cleans, softens, and preserves, and it's for all colors, so I did use these on my pink-toed leather Litas as well, and they worked fine. It's made for cleaning leather, basically, so I actually got this at Big Lots for really cheap, so if there's a Big Lots near you, they might have this as well. This works really well for getting any sort of dirt or grime off your leather shoes, including the Litas. This is what I use to clean any scuffs that I have on my Litas and things like that. So I would definitely recommend this or any sort of like leather cleaner polish. This stuff actually contains a wax that I guess it's supposed to have a little bit of added protection too, so that's really nice to have as well for the leather shoes. A really obvious tip that I have is, you can't really see, but inside my Litas I already have a full-sized insole. So I would definitely recommend picking up any sort of insoles for your Litas or any other high heels that you might be having problems with, just because it seems like such a simple, like, obvious fix, but it really does work wonders on these shoes especially. The insoles that I have in here right now are similar to these, except these are just for the heel. The ones that I have are just for the all-over foot, so it has protection for the arch, the heel, the ball of foot, so it's really nice to have just that little bit of added comfort, especially if you're going to be wearing these shoes out. If you're having trouble with a specific part of the shoe or get pain in a specific area when you're wearing these shoes, you know, they do make ones for the heel, the ball of the foot, the arch, or just all over, so I would definitely recommend some sort of insoles for your heels. And to go with the saddle soap that I showed you before, I also use a Protectant Spray for my Litas and all my other leather products. This stuff mainly just repels water for when you go out and it's damp or humid or obviously raining, which God forbid would happen. But this one mainly just protects it from water and like things like that. But I would definitely recommend using any sort of spray that protects your leather shoes, just especially from water, since it can really damage your shoes really badly. There are different sprays that do repel like dirt and things like that, which would also be an added plus as well. But I would definitely recommend to protect your shoes with a spray. If you're not going to do the cleaner, that's fine, but the spray definitely helps. It's really prolonged the life of my Litas. And I even spray the heel. I tried to look online to see if anyone else had any tips on that. I would not put any cleaner or any sort of product on the heel, just because I did notice that it's kind of like painted or something. I don't know. It's not painted, but the color comes off really, really easily on the heel, as you can see, kind of. Not sure if you can see, but I tried to wipe a little bit of dirt off just with like a little damp towelette, and it kind of took the color off. So please stay away from wiping the heel or trying to clean it or anything like that. If you are going to clean it, I would suggest using a dry towel or something like that. Definitely use a protectant on the heel, just because it seems to be a little bit more sensitive to the elements and things like that. So those are just my really quick tips that are kind of obvious, but things that I do to prolong the life of my Jeffrey Campbell Litas, and I do use them as well on a lot of my other high-heeled and leather shoes and non-high-heeled shoes as well. So now I'm just going to show you a couple tips for walking in the Litas specifically. This video can also pertain, like I said a bunch of times, to other heels as well. If you have any other questions that I didn't answer, of course, please feel free to comment below, and thanks for watching. So stay tuned for my how to walk in Litas part of this video. Thanks for watching. Mostly when walking in these shoes, I don't have much of a problem, even though the heel is very large and the platform is as well. If you are having trouble walking in platform or any sort of heel, I would first suggest just finding the, sort of your weaker spots when you're walking. In the Jeffrey Campbell Litas, the toe is a little bit more narrow, so it could be a little bit more unsteady than the rest of the shoe. That is where I typically have most of my problems, is the front of the shoe. So I never really have any problems with heel support. I have most of the trouble when I'm walking in the sturdiness of how narrow the toe is, as you can see. Here's the bottom of the shoe, and as you can see, it does get more narrow towards the front. Sometimes I bend my knees, not like that obviously, but I just sort of bend my knees a little bit when walking to maintain a little bit more balance. But before you want to get comfortable walking in your heels, you definitely need to obviously know your weak spots. And if you are having trouble being steady and you are like wobbling around like this, as you can see, I could be wobbling in these shoes. If you are having trouble keeping real sturdy and steady on your heels, I would just suggest bending your knees just slightly, and it should help you maintain your balance just a little bit better. You don't want to do it too much because, obviously that looks kind of funny and that's hard to walk, but just a little bit is pretty comfortable. There is some question as to whether you want to put your foot out heel first or toe first when walking. I mean, naturally I would already put my heel down first, so I think that's probably the proper way to do it. Heel down first, and then just focus on what you're doing, really. Obviously, not a lot of the time you're really having to focus on where you're walking because your shoes are probably a little bit more stable, but with these you do have to be conscious of where you are and where you're going. So really quickly, I just wanted to show you guys a point of view of the Jeffrey Campbell Litas and what I mean about the narrow toe. As you can see on the floor that the toe definitely does curve up a little bit, so that's probably why I'm able to do that. But that seems to be why there's a little bit of a balance issue at the front of the Jeffrey Campbell Litas. Is there is this wedge in front here, very obvious wedge, and that just is where the shoe gets a little bit more narrow. And it's a gorgeous design, but I do think that is ultimately where all the balance issues lie. So just be a little bit conscious of that when you're buying these shoes and when you're wearing them out. So some of the common problems with the Jeffrey Campbell Litas are how narrow they are in front. And typically that is where I have the most problem with balance and how sturdy these are, because the heel, as you can see, is pretty thick and really sturdy, and I've never really had any problems with my heels in these shoes. I do have a pair of insoles, full-size insoles in these as well, so I would definitely recommend putting in a pair just to make them a little bit more comfortable. Generally, the only problems with the shoe lie in the toe and the front of the shoe here. Only because, yes, it is a little bit more narrow and it is a pretty big platform, and that's generally where I get the most pain when I have to wear them for a bunch of hours. So, my tips for walking in these would just be mainly just know the weak points in the shoe that you have the most trouble with balance. For me, the instance is the toe. I walk heel to toe, like this, heel to toe. So when I am putting down my toe, I do have to be a little bit more conscious, because that is when it is the most unstable for me. So when you're walking in these shoes, you just really want to be conscious of the ground and where you're walking, and if it's asphalt, concrete, what have you. I really would suggest only, obviously, flat areas, because these shoes are a little bit difficult to wear in rough terrain or up or down hills as well. Also, if you are having some trouble with balance, I would want to recommend banging your knees just a little bit when you're walking. Not a whole lot, just a little bit helps. I just noticed that when I'm walking, and if I'm having trouble balancing, I'll tend to, I think it's just a natural kind of wanting to be low to the ground or something, but just bend your knees a little bit and it should help you maintain your balance just a little bit better. As for any other issues with these shoes involving maintaining balance, they really aren't that hard to balance on. I really haven't had a lot of problems wearing these shoes. And again, these are the Jeffrey Campbell Litas. Again, the front is narrow, and that really is the only problem I have, because the heel makes up for it, because it is pretty thick and chunky, and it does give good support. So it kind of just evens it out in a way, because I really don't have a lot of balancing issues with these shoes. But if I am going to wear these shoes for an extended period of time, I do generally have more of an issue with the toe, just because, like I said a million times, it is narrow. So with these shoes, you really don't need to put too much effort into it, honestly, I think, in trying to figure out how to walk in these shoes. If you already know how to walk in heels, it really shouldn't be a problem at all. If you are, you know, a little bit conscious of the fact that you don't think you are too comfortable wearing heels, I would suggest wearing them around the house or on like short errands in the meantime before wearing them out to a big event or something. But I think, you know, the general rule for most shoes is you want to break them in. And if you want to break them in, you got to wear them at home and things like that. So breaking them in and also just practice wearing them around the house is just a great way to get used to the real feel of these shoes. So when you actually do go out, it won't be a super huge problem and you won't be in a lot of pain or tripping and falling everywhere at night. As you can see, I don't have a problem just standing around in these shoes. I can walk stairs in these shoes without a problem. I can do pretty much anything just because I am pretty comfortable in walking in heels. And if you are wondering, I'm pretty sure it is like a general kind of wearing heels rule that you need to walk heel to toe. I'm not sure if that's like actual rule or not, but for me it works really well, and I'm pretty sure I've heard that somewhere. That's what you're supposed to do. So again, heel to toe, bend your knees a little bit, and you really shouldn't have too big of a problem wearing the Jeffrey Campbell Litas. I think they're designed to be very comfortable, but look very stylish and kind of difficult to wear at the same time. Honestly, the only problem I really had with these shoes is getting a little bit of pain in the ball of my foot, but I've really not had any trouble walking in them or anything. Since these shoes are really expensive and valuable and I really do like them, I do generally take a little bit more caution as to where I go and what I'm doing and where I'm walking and each step I take, just because I want to prolong the life of these shoes, and I really do care about getting scuffs and things like that on these shoes. So if you, like myself, care about things like that, just be conscious of where you're going. It's pretty simple. I'm sure you probably would already, because these shoes are so awesome and so fun to wear. So the only rules and tips that I really have are just be aware of the narrow toe, because that can be a little bit unstable. Heel to toe when you're walking, bend your knees a little bit, and just be overall conscious and aware of where you are, what you're doing, and what your shoes are going to come into contact with. So I'll just show you a couple times walking around how they look and how, you know, I just walk around in heels, and maybe just studying what I do will be able to help you with any problems that you might have with your Litas. Now, if you have any questions about anything in this video, or you're having any trouble with wearing heels or Litas specifically, please comment below and I will definitely get back to you right away. Thank you.